Have any questions? Okay. Grand Rising, everyone. This is Ron. It is Saturday, November 15th, a little after 10 a.m. I had a great week, a little tiresome. Hope your week went well. But let's see if we have any questions. Anyone? Anything you may have heard or what's going on in your life or anything we may have talked about? No one?
Hi, Ron. It's Janice. How are you?
I am well. How are you, Janice?
I'm doing pretty good, actually.
Good.
I it sounds like you were just calling for questions or comments.
Yes.
I logged off just a second ago.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
I noticed uh, I noticed this past Tuesday, which was 11/11,
Uh-huh.
that there was a large solar storm. So the sun had these. They're called coronal mass ejections, I guess. And it sends lots of energy towards the Earth, and it can disrupt communications and sensitive electronics, that kind of thing. I think most people are familiar with those, but we had one that was probably the biggest in maybe the last 20 years, which I interpreted to mean as, um, the Earth being sort of bathed in that energy from the sun. Um, and with that being I don't know, such a special day for spiritual transformation. I was really encouraged about that and wanted to know if anyone else had seen it or had any thoughts about what that could mean. That's it.
I wasn't aware of it, but I certainly do like your interpretation. The earth being bathed in spiritual awareness. That's awesome. Anyone else like to speak to that?
Hey everyone, this is Nick. Sure. And yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Denise. I actually didn't realize uh it was a if it was a coronal mass ejection or whatever had actually happened, but I heard those stories about the Northern Lights being pushed like really far south. I think that's related, but it is
Yeah, it is. I'm mad I missed it.
yeah. Um so this I believe has to do with the energetic and metaphysical and spiritual time period that we are in. And previously I've said things like um it- at some point it doesn't matter if you know how to fly or not, you will be pushed out of the nest. And that's sort of what is happening on an energetic level to the shall we say, the spiritual and uh, energetic atmosphere of the planet itself and all of us sort of within that context. The uh, frequency and vibration of the earth itself is, I believe, well, it is, I think, but based on my understanding of what's going on, is being raised as a natural part of the evolutionary cycle of the planet and the consciously aware beings that are on it. And it's sort of up to us to learn how to match that frequency, because without the ability to match that frequency on a collective level, it creates a certain degree of chaos. It's like um, like it doesn't fit, and so there's friction and potentially uh, catastrophe that happens during these kinds of time periods, and this has happened before in other eras of Earth's history. It's just that now it is such that we are uh, sort of collectively connected in a way that we were not necessarily in previous eras. And so the scale at which this needs to happen is like much bigger. So the frequency of the consciousness of the humans living on this planet needs to collectively increase such that we match sort of incoming frequencies so that it doesn't create a, like I said, friction. And we will see more and more of these examples where not only the sun seems like it's very active. I know it has like there's like an 11-year sort of solar maximum and minimum cycle, but the frequency of these kinds of events is probably going to keep increasing, and the need for our collective awareness to match what is incoming is going to be more and more made apparent, I believe, in terms of what happens if we don't. But that said, I do think we it's not in the best or fastest or most efficient way, but we do make it, like, we do match that frequency. I just think it's going to take longer than we than it necessarily needs to. But I think there's a lot that goes into that. Like, we have a particularly sort of on the surface level chaotic collective experience, and there's a lot that has to be dealt with energetically and spiritually that is under that sort of appearance. But anyway, I don't mean to ramble, but it has to do with the need to energetically evolve collectively on a spiritual level. Thank you.
What were you talking about evolving, Nick? You said collectively.
Yeah. Hmm?
You're talking about all of mankind needs to, or
Like
the African,
we
or
we've sort of been ahead of this concept for years, but it is this
uh-huh.
concept. It is what we talked about critical mass. When we talk about currently the African and America in particular
Uh-huh.
reawakening to their own spiritual nature and stop trying to be like the sort of masters of materialism that
I got you. Okay.
America sort of wants you to be like.
Okay.
That in and of itself is a huge part of the process of spiritual evolution and course correcting so that the frequency and vibration, metaphysically speaking, is matched to what the energetic environment that we exist within is trying to push us towards.
Okay. Janice said it's the strongest it's been in 20 years. Was this something that they knew was about to happen, or did this just come uh, with this high frequency out of the blue? Was this expected, or what ushers this in?
I mean, I think we have scientists that watch the sun just like we have meteorologists that watch the weather. So I'm sure there were people that knew it was coming. And I think, there are probably, I don't know about in this country because our government has been slashed so horribly, but I would assume they're, just because we have scientists that are watching it too. So, just like, I think there's something similar to the National Ocean and Atmospheric, something, I forget what NOAA stands for, but it's either a component of them or something similar that watches the sun's weather, if you will, and can warn us so that we can be prepared, because I think it's electromagnetic, which is why it affects the communications and things like that. But I looked back because I was trying to understand, if there were more coming, and when exactly it happened. And I was reading the news reports, and there was a warning before it happened, 11th, that we were about to experience some large storms, because it takes time for that energy to get here. And I think you can see it happen before, through telescopes and such, before it actually hits the earth.
Because I did hear the news talking about the Northern Lights. I did not hear this though. But thank you.
Yeah, sure. That's definitely where it comes from the sun's activity.
I have a question, Nick.
Oh, I think.
I yield.
No, go ahead. So, well, go ahead.
Well, someone else was about to say something. I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Evelyn. Grand Rising, good morning, everyone. Janice, in terms of what you read and observed, can you talk a little bit more about that energy and on where that energy transmutes once it's here in Earth?
Because
I'm kind of seeing something in my mind about what we talk. I'm seeing something about, you know, what Nick just said about the rise of the collective consciousness of Africans, particularly those living in America, and us being able to transmute this energy into something.
I mean, I didn't, the only stuff that I read was sort of scientific in nature, or kind of, you know, scientific news, if you will. But the interpretation was really just kind of from observing how I felt and what I saw, like in retrospect. I was actually talking with a friend, and I don't know if it was on 11/11 or if it was just kind of near that date, about feeling a sense of, it's kind of hard to describe, like feeling like I could see further and could understand connections between people in a more broad and deep way, just sort of feeling almost the reverberations of actions in my own life and actions that I could see other people doing and how that ripples outwards, which I could probably only describe as a sort of increased awareness that was definitely happening around that day, and that I even still feel more energy and more clarity. And I, you know, at the time, I think I just kind of chalked it up like it's November 11th and this is a particularly potent day, but I wasn't aware of the solar storms at that time. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of what I've been thinking about. And, you know, I've been particularly interested in what other Black women are experiencing, because I got a sense that there's something happening with the Cosmic Mother. I can't really put my finger on it, and I'll be curious to hear what other people's experiences have been over this past week. Thanks.
Oh, absolutely. For the last 2 weeks, actually, and it's been intensified this week, I've been having a lot of moments of synchronicity, like where, for example, I've seen something either in the dream states, or sometimes it's just a message that comes through just this an awareness, and then it like manifests within like a day or within the next couple of hours, like the opportunity to see that thing in action or to have to speak on that thing has been happening. And again, it started about 2 weeks ago, but it's been intensified this week.
Yeah, that tracks.
Welcome back from your dream state. I've had some experiences during the week, especially after I wasn't on last weekend. However, I have been during the course of the week in different states of meditation, whether it be my sitting and purposely meditating or in a dream state. My sleep pattern changed this week, not in terms of times as much as it was in terms of my experiences. During my sleep, my body feels different, as though it is experiencing a type of lightness, for lack of a better word to use. And it feels as though I'm floating, and I'm experiencing it as I sleep. And I have, for the entire week, had visions during my dream state of our ancestors, and we engaged in different things and speaking about different things. I have seen a mixture of ancestors and people who are still housed in these bodies of ours. And my experiences have brought me to some different understandings about where we are, who we are, and how we approach it. When Nick talked about collective consciousness, my understanding now of Elohim speaks directly to collective consciousness. Because even though Elohim is one yet many, the many is collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness doesn't deal with us individually as much as it gives us the experience of the many as Elohim. And that is where the seat of influence and energy is. And that's where change begins to take place in the collective consciousness, embracing the reality that we are Elohim. We have established that the scriptures are of Eastern origin, more specifically, the Kushite Achaemenid kingdom is the source of the writings. And even though the writings have been manipulated and have been manipulated in such a manner that it excludes femininity altogether, it is the Akashic consciousness that has guided me and to the understanding of the original writings. And what I see is different in some of the scriptures that we have discussed. The knowing that the scriptures were written based upon the sacred writings that pertain to how we as God are supposed to govern not only ourselves, but this earth that we are part of. And the scripture that says that I say that ye are God's 82nd Psalm, but you will die as mere men. I have a different understanding of that. And my understanding of that is our struggle has been making efforts to remain, to be human as well as to be God. The Elohim having a physical experience is the concept of trying to live as a human while being a God. The experience of the human that we have experienced and we are still experiencing is the experience of the concept that Nick mentioned in terms of this, the idea of this material world, or the efforts that we put forth to become like that mindset of this material world. The mindset of this material world is a mindset of humans. The mindset of Elohim is different. The experience of this human world is the thing that has pushed us into the space where we are obligated we are commanded to embrace the reality of God. I say that you are Elohim, yet you live as mere men. You live as a human. You live as humans. You can't change anything as long as you live the life of a human. You have died to yourself. And the self that you have died to is the reality that you are Elohim. And in the earth, the Elohim is indeed the African. There's no question about that. And the African has made efforts because of subjugation, has made efforts to live as mere men / humans. And that is the struggle. We are God. We are not human. We are human by oppression or by choice. When we recognize the totality of our being, meaning recognizing and embracing the reality of who we are without trying to make other people feel good by including them in who we are. If you're not God, you're not God. If you're not African, you're not God. It's just that simple. And the reality of it is that Elohim in the earth must is here to teach humans how to be human, to show them how to be human. And the mindset that we have entertained is the mindset of the Neanderthal. And we try to justify it in different ways. And every time that we make an effort to justify a Neanderthal mindset, every time that we make an effort to justify us being human, we are deflecting from being who we were created to be. We were created to be Elohim. And the purpose of these bodies is not to be human. The purpose of the bodies is to be able to identify with and communicate with the human, with humanity, to bring them to a mindset of humanness, a mindset of being Elohim. The human mindset is to be created in the image and likeness of Elohim, so that the world can live in harmony and in peace. So when the scriptures say that I say that you're gods, the question becomes, who is the scripture talking about? And if the scripture is talking about Elohim / the children of Akebalon, then if you continue to read that, it says, but you will die as humans or as mere men. So the question becomes, are we human or are we God? If we're going to be in alignment with the writings of the sacred, then it is that we are God and we are not human. We are the servants of humans. And by that, I mean, we are the servants of humans by bringing them to the mindset of who Elohim is. Instead of being obedient to a Neanderthal mindset, it is incumbent upon Elohim to bring into existence the mindset that is in an alignment with the principles of Ma'at. And those principles of Ma'at are the only principles that will bring people to a real sense of being human. And until then, it would be extremely difficult, if not impossible, for those who are human to embrace each other as being equal to them or being the same as. So when we talk about changing the mindset and reappropriating the energy flows, what we are talking about is taking our responsibility as Elohim and being just that, and stop living like humans, and cease to identify as humans, because we cannot be both when the mindset of the human is totally different than the mindset of Elohim. We must create that mindset in all of humanity. Created in our image and likeness is not about creating someone or something that looks like us physically. The reason we are so different than all other people on this earth, our bodies are different because we are gods. The melanin in us is our God energy, our God light. Not like, but light, because we are not like God, we are God. The mechanism that the melanin plays in life itself, we are, the melanin is the storehouse for our sunlight, and the mindset that we have influences that the energy from the sun, and the solar event that Janice was talking about was an influx of energy beyond anything that has happened in 20 years. And the reason I see I'm being shown that this is different is because the energy that actually came through the gateway and infused the entire earth, that energy was absorbed more by us. The melanin attracts that energy, and that energy from the sun brings into existence the ability and the necessity of us building a nation, a people, as opposed to living in a country of people. There are no nations on this earth at this moment. There are only countries. And it is incumbent upon us to transform these countries into nations. And only God can do that. And I understand. I understand the mindset of the human is that everything is hard. Of course it is, because you haven't done it yet. You're not lived as God without trying to live as human at the same time. Driving a car was hard until you did it, till you learned to do it. So let's cease talking about how hard things are and begin to engage with them, so they can train us, teach us, purge us, so that we can truly function in this earth as we were commissioned to function in this earth. Before I talk more about what God looks like, what it looks like to be God, I want to see if there are any questions or comments.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. This
Oh,
is
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Just to respond back to what Janice and Regina were talking about. I think this whole cycle, remember when you were talking about something happening in September that was going to change everything?
Yes.
And then we saw that Charlie Kirk was killed. I think that's all a part. I think that thing was an awakening, because that incident kind of forced a lot of Black people to sort of reevaluate their Christian beliefs, um, and to really think about, well, who am I and what is my relationship to this religion that devalues me. But I think from that incident and then culminating with this solar flare or whatever it was, and then tying in the melanin absorbed that energy. So I think it's all about awakening Black people to who they are. They're now questioning their relationship with the Christian church. People are wondering, wait, what's going on here? So I think that solar flare was a culmination of a period of awakening for African people. And because of the melanin, they were able to absorb that energy. And now, I guess we just have to not exactly direct it, but help people understand what's happening and how they can use it.
I agree with you, Audrey. I agree with you wholeheartedly. This energy, the influx, is a preparation to us for what is to come, what we are going to engage with. It also strengthens us. The moment that we purge ourselves or began purging ourselves of the concept of being human, the sooner we will have more spiritual experiences and more encounters with the ancestors. The
Well,
ancestral.
I just wanted to say, the thing is, people have used that against us for so long. Y'all are not human. You're not human. You're not a human being. So when you say to us that we are not humans, it's a little bit triggering, but I understand what you mean. And we just have to help other people understand what you mean.
Yeah. Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, I just wanted
That's
to,
all.
yeah, thank you. I wanted to expand on the we're not human thing. Like, it doesn't mean you're not yourself. It just means like, well, when you meditate, when you engage spiritual practice in a conscious way, you begin to reincorporate those parts of yourself that you did not know were present, that connect you to your ancestors, that allow you to have these kinds of spiritual, energetic, etc. experiences on a more daily basis in a lived experiential way. It is the experience of being Elohim, of being a non-physical being that is sort of having a temporary physical experience that accelerates, that increases in terms of its presence in your lived conscious awareness. And it is that experience that is part of the process of the spiritual evolution that we are going through, that the consciousness of the African, which is supposed to have in a lot of ways been the sort of North Star for the spiritual direction that humanity needs to head in. The consciousness of the African that is reconstituting itself in order to assist with this process for everyone on a collective spiritual level. Thank you.
Thank you. For those who are having trouble believing that we are God and that Christianity is simply a method of harnessing our energy, controlling us, and convincing us that we are animals. And when they say we are not human, they know what they're talking about. No different than in 1859, the Suez Canal was dug. It took them 10 years to do that. And the reason it was done, it had nothing to do with commerce. It was done to separate the continent of Africa from that piece of land that's called the Holy Land. It was to separate Africa and isolate it. The term Middle East was coined in 1909 for the same purpose, to separate from Africa the landmass that's occupied and controlled by Arabs. And in all of this being done to convince us that we are supposed to act like the Neanderthals, and instead of function as Elohim. I see us as being in a very peculiar place now. And Audrey spoke concerning the being human and not being human. I embraced 100% of what she shared with us a moment ago, because just like the African woman was omitted in the writings of the scriptures, the African woman was cut out. And even the Holy Spirit, even though the Hebrews who came thousands of years after the Kemetic writings, those Hebrews wrote Holy Spirit or Spirit as being feminine, yet the translators made it a male, just like the power of the African woman, the cosmic energy of femininity, the cosmic mother, just like they recognized the power of it, and that's why they made an attempt to banish it. They recognize that, they know that, and they know we are not human as well. They know that we are God. However, they took the phrase "you're not human" and made it a negative thing, just like they have taken everything else that pertains to our destiny and our origin and made those things negative. That's the same thing they did with "you're not a human." And an example of that is when the black jockey was sitting in the yards to denote safe houses. They demeaned it and made it something that we were ashamed of, amplifying the lips with red paint. The watermelon, same thing, everything pertaining to us. And the game has not changed. Everything that you are accused of doing or being, that's who they are, and that's what they are doing. So we have to make every effort to walk away from, to purge ourselves of all of those human attributes so that we can function as God. What does it look like to be God? There was a scripture I want to read a portion of, and then I want to insert some names in there, if I may. the 83rd Psalm. First of all, let's see this. There is more mention of the Lord in Psalms than it is of God, meaning that the appeal to the Lord is speaking to the self-existing one. And the voice of God is our voice, or at the very least, what our voice is supposed to be. The scripture, O God, do not remain quiet, do not be silent, and O God, do not be still. For behold, thine enemies make an uproar, and those who hate thee have exalted themselves. They make shrewd plans against your people. Now, we are Elohim, so let's read this with a proper name in it, a name that we have been assigned at birth. O Audrey, do not remain quiet. Do not be silent. And Audrey, do not be still. For behold, your enemies make an uproar, and those who hate you have exalted themselves. They make shrewd plans against your people and conspire together against your treasured ones. If this is what it looks like to be God, could you see the clarity in that? Especially you, Audrey, since I use your name. That's what it looks like to be God.
It's a lot more personal.
Most definitely it is.
Yeah, it feels a bit like what we read and when we were looking at what's that scripture? Isaiah 53 or 54 or whatever. And then we sort of replaced the name. Yeah, similar thing. It's much more personal. It hits in a different way.
And,
Yeah.
Much different way.
And what it actually does, it removes you from that being in that space of being human.
Yeah.
Pastor, that resonates deeply, like they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when you want to know what it looks like to be God, insert your name. And the other part of that is so vivid to me. What I'm saying is the scriptures are vivid to me, more vivid to me, and I'm sure to you as well, simply because we're no longer reading the scriptures as humans. We are reading the scriptures as Elohim. And these are the instructions for Elohim. And the way we are understanding them now and what's being shown to us is because of us being and recognizing that we are a Akashic consciousness. And Akashic consciousness grants us a privilege that humans do not have. And that privilege that it grants us is to see the original sacred writings of the Kushite Kemetic priesthood. And that is the reason they resonate so deeply with us. And as they resonate, please understand, resonating with you means that it is awakening something in you that has always been there and is familiar to you. And you have opportunity to embrace what resonates or not. And your words do not embrace it. Your actions do. Your thoughts do. The way you see yourself is what embraces those words. People do not change because of facts. The truth does not change people. What changed people is their experience with the truth. If you don't have an emotional experience with the truth, it becomes an academic exercise to you and it doesn't change you. But when you embrace it, that's what changes you. And when we consciously seek the purge of being human, our responses to people are just that, responses and not reactions. And in our responses are always laced with healing, laced with a desire of transference our understanding to those who don't have their understanding. You cannot go on the internet now without seeing a video, hearing people talk about their break with Christianity and the damage that Christianity has done to us. The whole idea of the reprobate is the Christian. When we talk about putting something in the macro, we are actually talking to the yet many, the many of us who don't know who we are yet. And the melanin is picking up on this. And the things that we say are melanated people are embracing it. And that is the reason you see melanated people talking about how damaging Christianity has been and still is, and how anything that pertains to us is deemed to be demonic, when in essence, the concept that we have been taught about being demonic is represented by the Neanderthal mindset. As Africans, as God, and may I say this, correct myself, as the gods of Akebalon, it is incumbent upon us to understand that the demon is the Neanderthal mindset. The evil is the Neanderthal mindset. The evil is a priority to acquire material things. The evil is efforts to separate ourselves from those who we consider less fortunate than we are. That as the gods of Akebalon, that is what we that we have to embrace and understand about ourselves and about those who we seek to bring to a place of change, or to help them look in the mirror and make a decision as to whether or not they are seeking change. Questions or comments?
Pastor, I have a question.
Sure.
Grand Rising family and honor to the ancestors. What do you mean by less fortunate than we are?
When we talk about poor people, people who are homeless, we look at them as being less fortunate than we are. And it simply means that they are the result of capitalism, of materialism. It could not exist without poor people. And our focus shifts to those who are homeless, but we're not focused on those who made them homeless. I heard Jasmine Crockett make a statement. She said to the people, not one transgender has caused you to be homeless or taken your job, not one. Not one transgender has done anything to harm you. So why are you not focused on those who took your job, those who keep you poor? And those are the ones who control the world, not the power, but the world. So what I'm saying, in essence, less fortunate is a term that we have been taught, and it delineates between those who have material things, not necessarily stability, but material things, as opposed to those who are homeless or poor than we are. Does that make sense, Evelyn?
Yes, sir. And I'm glad you say this and saying what you're saying, but but this is another question for another day, topic rather. I used to work at a plasma center, and there were people who were once doctors, lawyers, professors. They would come and they would donate plasma. And I'm like, why are you here? And they said they just didn't like the way the world was being run. So people are homeless for different reasons, but I understand what you're saying. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There was a hearing in Congress, and the hearing was about Kennedy and his position in the Trump government. And he made a statement. Kennedy said, no, one of the Congress ladies, African Congress lady, asked him, why is it that he made a statement that Black people need less vaccine than white people? And Kennedy said, because the biological makeup of Black people is different than white people. He said the reason Black people need less vaccine is because they have more antigens. Their immune system is much stronger than white people's immune system. And the Black woman got in an uproar about him saying that we are biologically different. And that was because of her ignorance about herself. And ignorance, I don't mean dumb, I mean unaware about herself. Because Kennedy is exactly right. Our biological makeup is different. And we are not taught that in school or med school, any place for that matter, but it's true. It is different. Our immune systems are stronger. And the reason our immune system are stronger and had to be stronger is because we were exposed to all the diseases that came out of Europe that we had never been exposed to, and yet we survived. Our immune systems are stronger. No question about it. All the things that has been done to kill us, none of them has succeeded. Why have they not succeeded? Why have not they succeeded? Because you can't kill God. You cannot kill God. You can try your best to bury the name. You can seek to bury the people and their accomplishments, but you cannot kill God. An example of making efforts to write God out of everything that has been done in this earth and its true existence in establishing kingdoms around the earth is seen in Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. We celebrate Thanksgiving no differently than Halloween. People who are Christians who celebrate Halloween, they call it fall, what is it? The fall, what? Come on, help me, somebody.
Harvest.
Yeah, the fall harvest. But they still celebrating Halloween because they're doing
And
this.
Fall Fun Festival.
Yes, Fall Fun Festival, all of that. But they still celebrating Halloween. If you are doing the things that are done on Halloween and calling it something else, it does not change the fact that you're celebrating. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't. That's up to you. That's up to you. However, Thanksgiving is a bit different in that we see these Eurasian people with hair with feathers on their heads, calling them Native Americans, the Indians, and we feel some kind of way about what happened with them. And we are taught that they are the indigenous people. Well, they are not. And we have established that. The reality of it is that they are not indigenous people. We are the indigenous people. And us being the indigenous people who, well, let me give you Thanksgiving first of all. Thanksgiving came to existence because after a village was raided and the women and children were, and men, but especially women and children were murdered, the ones from Europe who did that will go back to their camp and they will give thanksgiving to God for granting them the strength and power to overcome those in the village. In other words, they were thanking God for the strength and to be able to murder people. That's where Thanksgiving came from. Abraham Lincoln made Thanksgiving a holiday, and it was all dressed up into something different, where the indigenous people and the Puritans came together to eat. Well, it didn't work like that. The indigenous people, after that meal was killed. We are the indigenous people. So when we talk about this, what happened to indigenous people and how this Thanksgiving thing came into existence, we're talking about ourselves. We're talking about the rampant murder of people who looked like us. Those people who are called Native Americans are not the indigenous people of this landmass. We are. So I'm saying to you, our understandings of who we are, our understanding of indigenous people and how it relates to this thing called Thanksgiving is paramount to us, because that helps us to see it in a different light than what it has been. And the propagation of these people who crossed the Bering Strait, the propagation of it has pushed us into the background and convinced us that we are not indigenous to this place, even though we are. Now, granted, those who have perpetuated this, they know for sure that we are indigenous. And again, everything that's happening is a fight against God. Disrespect for God. Making efforts to defeat God and to become God. The Tower of Babel is actually an allegory that speaks to those with that mindset of your European making efforts to gain enlightenment on their own, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, etc., as opposed to knowing that they are enlightened, meaning that the African is brought into the concept of Christianity, seeking enlightenment, without realizing that it is the source of enlightenment. Not understanding that every ray of the sun brings more enlightenment. Every ray of the sun produces more melanin in us. If you don't quite understand that, then look at your own body beneath your clothes and see the difference in the color of your body and your face and your hands. During the summer, your body, if you disrobe your body, your whole body will be darker, which means that your whole body will be absorbing the melanin from the sun and storing it. And with it comes enlightenment. So what I'm saying is that we are enriched by the sunlight as melanated people, and understanding the power and purpose of melanin hopefully helps us to be more open to embracing the reality that we are African. The reason that men sought to destroy us or to minimize our worthiness in the earth is because they wanted to exalt themselves. And we stood still and allowed them to exalt themselves. It is incumbent upon us to do what we are doing, and that is to exalt God above all evilness, to desire enlightenment to everything that pretends to be light. The artificial light of Christianity has kept us in a horrible place. The reality of light brings order to the human, and it demolishes the countries and brings nations into existence. Questions or comments? And I certainly hope that this is clear with you. No questions, comments?
My one thought that I had when you were talking about the holidays, Halloween and Thanksgiving. Uh, the holidays in this country kind of speak to the consciousness of America. It speaks to the things that are valued in the history of this country and the falsehood in which it was all developed, the foundation of it. Whether you look at Christmas, whether you look at it 4th of July, whether you look at Easter, or everything that is valued is a camouflage for something else. It had its origin in something else. And so part of what we're doing is not only exposing the holidays, but unfolding the culture, the things that people value, the things that people have been tricked in seeing and believing. All of that is being dismantled at this time. So I just think all those things are connected. They don't appear to be on the surface, but I think they are.
Thank you. We are actually living in a pseudo culture. The culture is a lie. If a culture is pseudo, if a culture is a lie, then that culture does not exist because it's a lie and it's non-existent. Would you hold on 1 second, please?
My pastor's gone. Evelyn, at the very beginning when we started, you had a question and you yielded. Do you still have that question? I just didn't want to forget.
No,
Okay.
thank you. I think Nick answered it, and Regina had brought that up as well. My question was about consciousness. So this consciousness that these planets and these members are bringing into the Mother Universe, we have a choice to either vibrate with this energy or get left. No one will be left behind, but the journey would be, you won't get back to where we need to be. You need to be, if you do not vibrate with this consciousness that's coming or that's here. And that was my question for Nick and whoever, but yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Nicholas?
And just to respond to that, yeah, that's basically how it works. And this is all part of kind of what I wanted to introduce and talk about if we get the chance to meet in person. But it is related to, as Pastor Richard is speaking about, like just now, what it looks like. What does it mean to move forward from this context of ignorance into one of awareness and enlightenment? What does it look like? What does it mean in terms of your lived experience, in terms of our collective understanding of who and what we are as humans, quote unquote, but aware of the fact that this physical material body is it's only that. You know, there are things that will continue to happen that will push us in this direction of this awareness, consciousness, and frequency of energy that we are learning how to integrate and be. And it is, there is a much more, for lack of a better way of describing it, maybe a much more tangible and lived experience of what this means and what this is, that is available to us, but we will be pushed towards whether we like it or not, collectively.
Yeah.
The physical matter of your body is not supposed to stay at the same frequency. And there's a lot that is happening, like when when the sun bathes the earth in a higher frequency and a whole kind of energy, and you have these experiences where you feel more aware, more connected, that is the direction we are heading collectively. And it comes with a whole bunch of potentially new, even to people, you know, who on this phone call have been connected to Foundation, potentially a whole bunch of new concepts and experiences that are going to be part of our collective awareness and experience, sort of whether we like it or not. And you know, it will play out however it plays out, but that is the direction we're moving in. And that is what we are, in many ways, through meditation and our conversation, attempting to metabolize and understand how to vibrate in tune with the reality of what this experience of reality itself actually is. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Evelyn DeSalle?
Yes, sir. And I'm thinking about what I brought to the family last week on how I'm not sleeping, right? So we're told that we need 8 hours of sleep. I don't believe that's true anymore because we are vibrating at such a high level, and sleep may not be necessary anymore because of where we're going. So yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. There's something that I shared in conversation, but not with you guys. We talked about numbers and what they mean and the importance of them. 9. 9 is the divine number. 9 is feminine. Have I read that? No, I have not. However, I know what I've been shown. I know my experience with it. 9 is divine. 9 is related to life itself. No matter what you multiply, that what you multiply 9 with is going to give you a sum of 9. 9 is feminine because of the 9 months before delivery of a baby. 9 is feminine because of the connection it has with the menstrual cycle as well, and bringing life into the earth. The idea of the moon being feminine says something. The sun itself is what gives the light to the moon. Yet the moon acts differently than the sun. The seed of the sun gives light to the womb of the moon. And a pregnancy lasts for 9 months, but also this feminine moon is a cleansing mechanism because of the effect that it has on the ocean, because of the effect that it has on our mental state, our emotions. There are many other things that the moon is involved in when it comes to our state of being. And all of those things are things that have been birthed. So when a birth takes place, it is already melanated. And I'm talking more spiritual than anything else. Why is it that the supermoons have such an effect on us? Because the seed of the sun is given light to it, and that seed of the sun is the energy that helps us to vibrate with the universe. And that huge moon, or that moon being closer to the earth, empowers the feminine aspects of the energy in the earth and grants us the opportunity to cease being barren and become actively impregnated for the purpose of birthing righteousness into the earth. We, yes, receive from the sun, but when we receive the energy from the moon, the sunlight from the moon, that is speaking to us in a way that leads us to be impregnated and give birth to something or some things. There were 3 supermoons, I believe it was, back to back this year. So we are impregnated because the moon, being feminine, has impregnated us with the seed from the sun. So that seed is already melanated, and the melanin has increased because of our embracing the essence of what melanin is, does, and its total purpose. So I go back again to this number 9 as being a divine number. We were taught that number 3 was the divine number. Excuse me. 3 times 3 is 9. So what I'm saying in essence to you is this. You cannot separate 9 from what is multiplied, the number that's multiplied to get 9. How this affects us totally, I don't know yet. I do know that as I'm speaking to you about this, I am currently having an experience that I have when I am in the midst, or when I am consciously in the midst of the ancestors. There is something about this 9 and this moon that the ancestors are communicating to us, and the clarity of it will come when necessary. However, I do believe, I do know that this number 9 and understanding it as being divine is in direct connection with everything that we are doing rather, to bring harmony to mankind. And when I say bringing harmony to mankind, I'm talking about those with that mindset, and those who have a mindset of being human, and those who have a mindset of thinking they're human. It is incumbent upon us to continue this journey of shifting the thoughts of humanity and bringing into existence, as I mentioned earlier, the principles of Ma'at. When I say bring into existence, I'm talking about opening the eye of humanity, of the African or the children of Akabalon, so the children can see the power that they are and give birth to whatever they're being impregnated with from the presence of this moon. I do believe that the moons that were back to back 3 times is the source that has caused people who we encounter on social media, the children of Akabalon in particular, who are seeing the true nature of Christianity and walking away from it. I do believe that this the birth of this rather, came from the moon. And the reason I say that is because, on my part anyway, it was recently that these videos popped up about people recognizing Africans or recognizing Christianity for what it is. And they came more frequently after those 3 supermoons came to us back to back. So all of these solar phenomenons are actually spiritual messages to us, and being able to discern the times comes with the depth of our recognition of who we are. And I say again, in no uncertain terms, the children of Akabalon are not humans. They are God. Questions, comments?
About the number 9, what came to me while you were speaking is that so Ma'at, the principles of Ma'at are all about balance and harmony. and that is the sort of is ruled over by the feminine principle. And 9 is a sort of harmonic exponent of the number 3. 3 squared is 9. And 9 is the last number before the cycle repeats itself. Because there's only 1 through 9, and everything else is just like an exponent, or it's using those components to build. And then 0, but 0 and infinity are the same thing. But and it just sounds to me like the reconstitution of the African consciousness of Mayat, and the spiritual identity of African people is the thing that forms the seed for the harmonic resonance in the macro that transforms the nature of the collective awareness. And there's much more to it than that, I don't know, but something about that is related to like in the I forget, it's either the Kabbalion or some of the Kemetic texts. It talks about the law of squares, which is a metaphysical principle wherein when people come together in a positive way, in a loving, harmonic way, it has and they are on the same page in terms of consciousness, it has a much, much greater effect than if the same number of people came together for a negative way, or in a negative way. And it has to do with the sort of what love, harmony, and positivity is in terms of its role in helping us accomplish our mission here. And it is greatly preferred as the means by which the mission is accomplished. But anyway, somehow all of those things are related. There is a sort of a mathematic, metaphysical, spiritual, harmonic relationship between the consciousness that is being reconstituted in the reawakening of African spirituality and recognition that we are gods in the physical, and it immediately having an effect in the collective consciousness of the earth, which then establishes the balance and harmony of Mayat, which is in essence the dominion of femininity in the spiritual and metaphysical sense in the earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments
What-
about what Nick related just now?
Gun Rising. Not a comment, but just not a question, but an additional comment.
Okay.
What you were talking about with the number 9, if you multiply it by 2, it's 18, which is 9, 1 plus 8. If you multiply it by 4, or if you multiply it by 4, it's 36. So any multiple of any of the numbers of 9 in the first 1 through 9 is 9 in its final state, and so it implies a fullness and a completeness and a wholeness. So not only is the beginning of another cycle, if you will, but I think it supports what Nick was saying about the infinity. 9 times 3 is 27. That's 2 plus 7 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. That's 4. You see what I'm saying? So it implies that there is so much completeness and wholeness and balance inherently in derivatives of 9, the holy number 9.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I still have a question.
Yes.
Based on everything that you're saying about the number 9, is it not significant that the number 9 is the only number with a womb?
That is significant. I thought about that last night. It is, because what I saw last night was the womb at the top, and the line that makes the 9 is the penis. Yes, it is. Does that help you, Kathy, before I go further?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Explain that a little more if you don't mind, though.
Okay. If you look at the Ankh and the circle at the top of the Ankh,
Mhm.
the arms, and then the bottom of the Ankh is perpendicular. So if you look at that, the opening at the top is the womb, and the penis is the part that's down, that's perpendicular. The the original of the Ankh, but those two arms of the one that's the crossbar of the arms. There are those who say that those were the testicles. However, the further you go back into the understanding of the Ankh, those are ovaries, and that speaks to life. Now, in the same vein, if you make a 9, that opening at the top is indicative of a womb attached to the penis, which is the seed for life. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Is that clear, Ron?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions before I say something else?
Yes. What about the number 6?
I don't know about the number 6.
Well, it's a very similar shape to the number 9.
I know. I don't know about that. All I know is that
Okay.
the phalanx is on top and the womb is at the bottom.
I would say this is just me immediately hearing that. Just that's why it's the inversion, because it doesn't produce anything. It can't give birth to anything.
With 6 being the number.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. A 9. Thank you, Janice and Nick. Okay.
But 6 is 3 plus 3.
Yeah. 6. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
6 is all numbers are sacred. This even the concept of 666 being like of the devil is like distorted by the religious lens it comes through.
Right.
In Islam, 666 is actually like a very like holy number, but it does speak to an incompleteness. So it's a thing you transition through, not something you worship or stay at. That is the negative sort of confusion that brings chaos. So anyway, yeah, thank you.
And the 6, that's why it's said to be the number of man, because the transition of man is from being who it chooses to be, as opposed to being transformed into being a human who recognizes spirituality. Does that make sense?
As we've talked about number 7 and 8, and I think we've talked about 3 before. So all of these numbers speak to the journey of man trying to find truth. 9, though, is different, is what you're saying. 9 gets to the place where it speaks of life or giving birth to something at the end of the journey, along the journey. Is that what I'm understanding?
You birth something. What have you birthed? A desire to travel the journey, and now everything begins to change and to repeat. Not necessarily repeat, but move forward with the 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. Elohim. That is when you become one with yourself.
And it begins a new octave, a new you begin the cycle again in an entirely new environment, in an entirely new framework. And that is related to the energetic and spiritual transformation that the earth is going through right now, and that we are attempting to metabolize, because we are moving away from what we thought how everything worked. And I don't just mean socially and politically, etc., although that is a part of it. It is also our very understanding and experience of what it is like to be a physical being. That whole framework is shifting. And that
So a
is
whole new consciousness too is what you're saying. You're moving
yes,
through.
the new yes, but more than that, in the sense that it is not just a a consciousness in the sort of way we talk about it in a mundane sense. Like it's not just new ways of thinking, although that is part of it. It is a complete transformation of the nature of what it means and what it feels like to be a physical being, as what we call the physical material increases in vibration and shifts more towards the spiritual.
Yeah.
And it is all the result of the transformation of consciousness. But I'm saying your body is consciousness. It is a part of that transformation.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir. What we have been doing, the reason we have not been in touch with ourselves is because we have been constantly dying or killing ourselves as men, as opposed to living as God.
Mm.
The cross is death. And even though we were taught you're not supposed to worship symbols, we always worshiped the cross, submitted to the cross. At the foot of the cross, that's where you change, that kind of thing. Christianity itself has the symbol of death. It cannot give life to anything. There is zero life in Christianity because it worships the cross, which is death. The Protestant worships the cross, which is death, without Jesus being on it. But the mother of Protestantism, the mother of Christianity, always has a dead man on it who is supposedly the one who forgives your sin and brings life to the earth. That is the Caucasian way of subliminally teaching us that the cross is the way to go, and they are the Savior that we are looking for. Does that make sense? Can you see that?
Yeah.
And when we dispense of the cross, leave it and purge ourselves of it, and we turn our face towards the east, that's when we see the Ankh, which is life itself. Everything in the Kemetic writings were about life. As a matter of fact, I read an article recently, and that article that I read was referencing the Last Supper. And the writer of the article was an African bishop. And he had located the building that's in the background of the Last Supper. And the building that was depicted there was a brothel. In that building was a brothel. And that brothel catered to homosexuals, lesbian, straight, anything, any kind of sexuality. So why would he put that Last Supper in a brothel. Because when he painted it, he didn't want to do it. And he put several different symbols in it that ridiculed Christianity. And when we embraced that Last Supper, without knowing it, we were embracing everything that it represented from the mindset of the one who did the artwork. And there is no doubt that the Catholic Pope and bishops knew what that building represented. And they let it stand. If you look at the foundational principles of Christianity and the intimacy of Christianity, you see exactly that. Catholicism is a brothel. Child molestation, homosexuality, lesbian, straight, all of it is represented there. It's a brothel. And if the mother or if the seed of Christianity is a brothel, then what is its child? What is the Protestantism? What is its child? Is the child different than the parent? Are the principles different than the parent? No. The only one that's rebelled against in Christianity is the Pope, the daddy of Christianity. Everything else that is done in Christianity is also done in Catholicism. It's done in different ways, but the same thing is done. And it deleted the Pope. It deleted daddy and put a priest/pastor, preacher in the space where daddy was. That's the major difference between being a Protestant and being a Catholic. Is that clear? The energy and the seeds are the same. I'm done. Ron? You're muted, Ron.
Thank you. I was just saying, you said something earlier that was interesting when you were talking about country and nation. And I just Google something. Sometimes I don't go to the Strongs to look at something. I Google it and I said, give me a Hebrew understanding of nation. And AI came back and gave me two words. The two words it gave me was goy. Goy, I understand to be Hebrew word for nation. But the other word that gave me, surprised me, is am. Am is in I am. It says the Hebrew understanding of a nation, or the am, emphasizes that a people united by shared identity, culture, and a collective destiny. That's the am, often involving mutual responsibility and a conventional relationship. That's am. That just kind of surprised me. Or to look at it, Goy means generally refers to a larger, more collective or political body, while often signifying a distinct group of people, a clan or a tribe. but the am is the one that just kind of got me. It is a term central to Hebrew concept of a people bound by a shared identity, a history, or a purpose, with a sense of a deep connection of unity and mutual responsibility. So when he says, I am that I am, that gives it a whole different meaning. It takes away from the individual I and it's saying that the collective me, the collective us, that is the nation is another way of saying we are a community, we are one body. I just thought that was interesting. That of all places, I think in the end, the AI thing is going to backfire on them because you dump all this data into it, and all it's going to give you is truth. It's not going to be what you think it was going to be. It's going to give you what it is, what's in it.
Until the algorithm was changed. And they're in the process of doing that now.
Well, they're going to have to do something
But
because it doesn't know any better.
where they're changing the algorithms so that it gives what they determine it should give as opposed to based on the information that's programmed into it. And don't get me wrong now, AI is wrong sometimes.
Oh, well,
Yeah. Now,
that,
I'm saying that that's wrong because it fits.
yeah,
It fits with, tell them that Am sent you.
yes,
Take the I away from it. Tell them that Am sent you. Tell them that the one who recognizes the unity of the people who have a common goal and a common responsibility. That's who sent. Why was he going in the first place? The reason, the allegory there is tell them that the builder of a nation, the one who desires a nation to exist as opposed to a country where you enslave people, where you are more attuned to materialism than anything else. That was the downfall, not of Egypt, but of Kemet. Egypt means a tight space. You are going to be in a tight space when you are controlled, manipulated by those who do not have what is it? Those who do not see you as being human or an equal. You're going to be in a cramped space. That is cramped internally. It's cramped in your thinking. So how do you get away from that? The one who desires that mankind be a collective of people who have the same goals and same responsibility. They have a mutual understanding and care for each other. That's the whole purpose of that whole thing, that story rather, that talks about the Egyptian thing when in actuality is talking about your mindset. And when it talks about going into the promised land, it is talking about, or the wilderness rather, it's simply saying that in order for you to get to the place where you know yourself, you're going to have to go through some turmoil. You're going to have to go through a purging. You're going to have to be in the wilderness all by yourself. And in that wilderness, you're going to have to purge yourself to the point where you recognize who you are. And when you see that you are who you were created to be, it is then that you enter a different consciousness. And that consciousness is the one that you were created with. And that consciousness is not only one that you were created with, but that consciousness is the consciousness that gives you peace and that gives you the concept, the reality of a shared life, a shared responsibility a shared desire for bringing men together for the purpose of becoming human.
Yeah.
And the majority doesn't know how to do that or don't want to. So it's saying that it won't be the majority who does that. However, it will be a handful who will embrace it.
Yeah.
They are embracing it. Would be the catalyst that changes everything. Are you able to see that in that story?
Yes. Definitely. It actually changes the scripture of Genesis from that point on. You see it in a different light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And at some point, I'll look at the concept of Cain and Abel and where they came from and why. Like Cain representing the material world,
Mm-hmm.
and Abel is representative of spirituality, that kind of thing. I want to look at that one day,
Right.
but not today.
Okay. Anyone else question or comments before we pause it for the day?
Hi, Ron. I was really struck by that discussion of nation, mutual
Yeah.
responsibility, and care. Just sounded so much like a haven and a place of comfort and safety that I really have a desire for more of us to experience in terms of humanity. And I know myself, it can often cause me stress when I have interactions with people, and I just have trouble understanding how they can feel so separate and so comfortable in their separateness that they behave in horrible ways. And it might be somebody cutting me off in traffic and endangering both of our lives at the same time. Or I heard a conversation on the radio, and a woman called in to talk about SNAP benefits and how they shouldn't really be going to illegal aliens. And I couldn't get over the fact that we weren't talking about government giving away free televisions. Like, it was food, basic sustenance. And we'd be so comfortable saying that you can't have that you can't spend my tax money that way. And I don't know. I just, sometimes I feel like I'm wandering around like on another planet, or it's a completely different mindset. And I definitely desire a change for us as people. That's all.
You're not the only one, and I don't think Pastor and I were just having this conversation. I think we have entered another place. I think we've entered another dimension, if you will, and we are more sensitive to things like that than we've ever been. Hearing it and what we see, but you're not the only one that feels that way. Yeah.
The sensitivity of it is being experienced because white people are not getting it. 78% of white people are on SNAP. 26% of us is on SNAP. And the reason that the lady spoke the way she spoke is because her mentality is inextricably tied to the mentality of America.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's why.
You're right. I mean, it was a Black radio station, and it sounded like a Black caller. I wouldn't be surprised if they're aren't more people who think the way that she was thinking, but I was just astounded and couldn't really get past it.
Oh yeah.
And
I
that
see
people
that as
would
the
be
same
so
person.
upset about food.
But I see that as the same mindset, Janice, that vote for Trump.
Yeah.
There's no difference in that mindset. Nicholas?
Be careful on social media too. There have been AI videos going around of Black women like exhibiting all the stereotypes and saying stuff like, my 7 children have 7 different baby daddies and the government needs to pay for it all. Though there have been AI generated videos and stuff like that going around. So just be aware that the AI is a tool, but it will be used for just to create chaos before it will be used for anything that is good in terms of its general purpose.
I hear you, Nick. I agree.
Right?
Can I say something?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. If we're getting off, I just wanted to sort of end on a positive note because we've been talking about humanness and the fact that we aren't human. And I guess the Dogon will tell you, no, we're not. We're Syrians or whatever. But anyway, I was listening to this YouTube video and it was talking about the 7 spiritual gifts of that only Black people have. And we've talked about many of them today. And I don't think these are the limit of it. But basically we've been talking about that today. And I just wanted to end on a positive note in terms of the fact that we aren't human because we have these spiritual abilities. And when I was listening, it resonated with me so much that I wrote them down. But one of them is resilience. We have been exposed to so much here, just in the United States in the last 400 years. We've been exposed to so much that it seems like any people would have been obliterated because of what we were subjected to. But we survived, and not only did we survive, we thrived. So we're very resilient. And then another one is we have the power of discernment. We know. We can listen to somebody talk and we know exactly where they're coming from. So I am calling them our superpowers, our superpowers that nobody else has. So resilience and discernment. And then it talked about the fact that we have a prophetic voice. Look at all the people who have come out of the Black African experience, who have had that prophetic voice, who told us where we came from, what was going to happen, and how we should react to it. But also that in terms of the prophetic voice, we know truth when we hear it. So all the stuff that's happening right now, and the fact that people are starting to move away from religion, because we know truth when we hear it. We just haven't been hearing it.
Mhm.
So, and then another one is creativity, or transcendent creativity. Look at all the inventions. Look at all the look at American popular culture is basically Black culture. And we have transported that to the world, the creativity. And then another one is intercession. All of us have grandmothers who could pray a prayer and, things would happen. And then kinship. We feel connected to, somehow we feel connected to all other African people, whether we realize it or not, consciously or unconsciously, we feel connected to them. And we show up for them. And especially in terms of what we're doing now, we're showing up for all those other people, in a spiritual sense. And then the last thing is the ancestral, our connection to our ancestors, the ancestral memories or the Akashic consciousness that we're connected to. So, and then I think, just from our conversation today, I think what has made all those things possible is melanin. So the fact that we're melanated brings about all those other things, because it allows us to absorb and the energy that makes all the other stuff possible. So in terms of not being human, this is why we can say we're not human, because of all these things we are able to do and be and feel and generate. So I just wanted to share this because it resonated with me deeply, and I feel like we've been talking about all these things just today. So I kind of wanted to end on a positive note in terms of, of the fact that we're beyond being human. We are spiritual.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautifully said.
Anyway, that's it.
Thank you indeed.
Yes.
Yes, we are beyond that. Human. Right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. We will see you all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Hope you have a great day and a great session, great energy, and look forward to it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Night. Have a great day.
everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great
Bye,
one.
everybody.
Bye.
Good day. Bye, everybody.
Take care.